A gravel bar in the middle of an Alaskan river is not, by any conventional definition, a runway. It's maybe 50 feet of rounded stones bracketed by rushing water on one side and a wall of spruce on the other. And yet a small taildragger drops out of the sky, flares just above the rocks, and stops rolling in a distance shorter than a semi-truck needs to parallel park. The engine barks back to life, the tail comes up almost immediately, and 3 seconds later the airplane is airborne again, climbing away at an angle that looks more like a rocket than a bush plane. This is not a stunt, it's a normal day for a Carbon Cub. CubCrafters, the Yakima, Washington company behind this airplane, has spent decades chasing a very specific obsession. How short can takeoff and landing distances get before you run out of physics? The Carbon Cub is the sharpest expression of that obsession so far, and understanding how it manages such absurd short-field performance means looking past the marketing photos of gravel bars and mountaintops and into the engineering choices that make them possible. CubCrafters traces its roots to 1980, when founder Jim Richmond started out rebuilding Piper Super Cubs, the classic post-war bush plane that essentially invented the genre of airplane you land on things that aren't airports. Decades of refurbishing and modifying Super Cubs taught the company's engineers exactly where the original design's limits were, and eventually those lessons turned into an entirely new airplane, the Carbon Cub. Despite the visual family resemblance to the Piper Super Cub, a Carbon Cub shares essentially no parts with its inspiration. It is a clean sheet design built around modern materials, a purpose-built engine, and an aerodynamic package refined specifically for slow-speed, short-field flying. The result is a two-seat tandem cockpit taildragger that looks like a nostalgic throwback and flies like nothing else in general aviation. Today, the Carbon Cub isn't a single airplane so much as a family. There's the Carbon Cub SS, a ready-to-fly light sport aircraft, the Carbon Cub EX, a comprehensive kit for builders, the Carbon Cub FX, a factory-assisted builder airplane where CubCrafters technicians do most of the actual construction, and the newest member, the Carbon Cub UL, engineered to meet both US light sport rules and international ultralight standards. Each variant is tuned slightly differently for weight, engine choice, and mission, but they all share the same underlying philosophy and most of the same short-field tricks. Start with the raw performance figures, because they're what make pilots do a double take. A Carbon Cub FX3 can be airborne in as little as 60 feet of ground roll and can land and stop in roughly 100 feet under favorable conditions. For comparison, a typical single-engine trainer like a Cessna 172 needs somewhere around 800 to 1,000 feet just to get off the ground. The Carbon Cub is doing the same job in less than a tenth of that distance. The climb performance is just as dramatic. Where a Cessna 172 might climb at around 650 feet per minute at sea level, a Carbon Cub routinely climbs at 2,100 feet per minute right off the runway, and some variants have been documented climbing even faster than that. Pilots flying a Carbon Cub for the first time often describe an involuntary reaction to the deck angle on takeoff, because the nose pitches up so steeply that it feels closer to a fighter jet's initial climb than a piston singles. Stall speed tells the other half of the story. The FX3 stalls at around 37 miles per hour, an almost absurdly low number that means the airplane is flying comfortably at speeds where most aircraft would already have fallen out of the sky. Slow stall speeds and short landing distances are two sides of the same coin. An airplane that can fly safely and controllably at low speed doesn't need much runway to get down to a stop because it's already traveling close to walking pace when the wheels touch. None of this happens by accident. It's the product of three interlocking engineering strategies: an enormous power-to-weight ratio, a wing designed specifically for controlled slow flight, and a landing gear and propeller package built to survive rough, unimproved surfaces. Pull any one of those threads out, and the whole short-field performance unravels. If there's a single number that explains the Carbon Cub better than any other, it's power-to-weight ratio. A Carbon Cub SS powered by the 180 horsepower Titan CC 340 engine, achieves a power-to-weight ratio of roughly 7.33 pounds per horsepower. A Cessna 172, by contrast, comes in around 15.33 pounds per horsepower, meaning the Cessna is asking each unit of horsepower to haul more than twice the weight that a Carbon Cub asks of its engine. That ratio comes from attacking both sides of the equation at once. On the weight side, CubCrafters builds the airframe from a CNC-milled 4130 chromoly steel fuselage frame combined with judicious use of carbon fiber components, hence the name, aircraft fabric covering, and aluminum structure, all engineered to shed every unnecessary pound while still meeting rigorous structural testing standards. The Carbon Cub SS, for instance, weighs roughly 250 pounds less than a comparably equipped Super Cub, while being built with about half the parts count. Fewer parts generally means less weight and less to maintain. On the power side, CubCrafters has developed and refined a lineup of purpose-built engines rather than simply bolting on whatever off-the-shelf power plant was convenient. The original Carbon Cub used the 180 horsepower Titan CC 340. The newer EX3 and FX3 models step up to the C363i, a fuel-injected engine with larger displacement, a cold air induction system, and dual electronic ignition that produces 186 horsepower, and paired with a constant speed propeller, generates roughly 20% more thrust than earlier Carbon Cub engines. The newest Carbon Cub UL takes a different approach entirely, using a turbocharged 160 horsepower Rotax 916IS engine that runs on either standard automotive gasoline or aviation fuel, all while keeping the airplane's takeoff weight under 1,320 pounds. The practical effect of all this weight shaving and power adding shows up the instant the throttle goes forward. A heavily loaded power-to-weight ratio means an airplane accelerates slowly and needs a long runway to reach flying speed. A Carbon Cub, with roughly double the thrust-to-weight advantage of a typical trainer, reaches flying speed almost immediately, which is the first ingredient in a short takeoff roll. Raw power alone doesn't produce a short-field airplane. It produces a fast one, unless the wing is also designed to fly safely and predictably at very low airspeeds. This is where the Carbon Cub's aerodynamic details do the quieter, less glamorous half of the work. The wing itself uses a relatively large area relative to the airplane's weight, which lowers the wing loading and, in turn, lowers the speed at which the wing generates enough lift to fly. But a big, low-loaded wing by itself can still misbehave at the slow speeds and high angles of attack that short-field flying demands. Airflow can separate from the wing's upper surface, and the airplane can stall abruptly. CubCrafters addresses this with standard vortex generators, small fin-like devices mounted along the wing's leading edge that re-energize the boundary layer of air flowing over the wing. By keeping that airflow attached at higher angles of attack, vortex generators let the pilot fly the airplane slower and closer to the edge of a stall without the wing giving up on them, which directly increases low-speed stability and control authority right when the pilot needs it most, on short-field approaches and departures. CubCrafters layers additional refinements on top of that baseline. Its G-Series flaps, standard on the FX and EX models, are the company's first truly slotted flap design. Rather than simply hinging downward, the flap's pivot geometry repositions it lower relative to the wing when deployed, which forces higher pressure air from beneath the wing up and over the flap surface. That extra energized airflow helps the boundary layer stay attached to the flap even at extreme deflection angles, which reduces stall speed further and improves the airplane's already remarkable slow-speed manners. The G-Series ailerons work on the same principle applied to roll control. A redesigned airfoil shape and relocated hinge point produce lighter, crisper roll response, which matters enormously when a pilot is maneuvering at low speed and low altitude into a tight backcountry strip and needs precise control rather than sluggish, mushy handling. Even the tail surfaces get attention. The G-series tail feathers include adjustable elevator stops that allow greater down-elevator trim authority, which helps the pilot manage the airplane's center of gravity range. Useful when operating at the forward or aft limits of loading, which is common when carrying camping gear, hunting equipment, or a passenger and full fuel into remote strips. Put together, the wing, flap, and aileron package does something that raw horsepower cannot. It lets the pilot control the airplane confidently at speeds most other aircraft simply can't sustain without stalling. That's the second essential ingredient in the short field formula, an airplane that can be flown reliably at the ragged edge of its stall speed, on approach and on climb-out, without punishing the pilot for a small mistake. The final piece of the puzzle is what happens in the seconds when the airplane is actually touching the ground, because a short-field airplane is only as good as its ability to survive the surfaces it's designed to use. Carbon Cubs are frequently fitted with oversized, low-pressure tundra tires. Alaska bush wheels are a common choice, which act almost like off-road suspension. The large-diameter, soft tires absorb the shock of landing on rocks, ruts, and uneven gravel, letting the airplane touch down hard and fast on rough terrain without damaging the gear or bouncing the airplane back into the air. The conventional tailwheel landing gear configuration, inherited from the Super Cub lineage, also keeps the propeller and engine higher off the ground than a nosewheel design would, reducing the risk of a propeller strike on uneven or debris-strewn surfaces. The propeller matters just as much as the tires. The EX3 and FX3 models pair their C363i engine with a Hartzell Trailblazer constant-speed propeller, which allows the engine to deliver its full rated power throughout the takeoff and climb, rather than being limited by a fixed blade pitch optimized for cruise. A constant speed prop essentially lets the engine shift gears continuously, keeping it operating at its most efficient point, whether the airplane is accelerating from a standstill on a gravel bar or climbing out at nearly 2,400 feet per minute a moment later. That translates directly into a shorter ground roll and a steeper initial climb, both of which are critical when the far end of the runway is a stand of trees. Part of what makes the Carbon Cub story compelling is that CubCrafters didn't settle on one configuration and stop. The Carbon Cub SS remains the company's benchmark light sport aircraft, ready to fly off the factory floor and widely regarded as one of the best-selling and highest-performing airplanes in its category. The Carbon Cub EX is sold as an extensive amateur-built kit, with every part precision-fabricated on CNC equipment, so builders spend their time assembling rather than hunting for parts, and it can be configured up to a 2,000-pound gross weight in its EX3 form. The Carbon Cub FX inverts the usual kit-building relationship. Builders travel to the Yakima factory, fabricate their own parts under the guidance of company technicians, then return later to complete final assembly on an airplane that ultimately carries a full factory warranty, a rarity in the experimental aircraft world. The newest addition, the Carbon Cub UL, represents a slightly different mission. Rather than chasing maximum useful load or top speed, it's engineered specifically to satisfy light sport rules in the United States and ultralight regulations in a range of international jurisdictions, all while running on either automotive or aviation fuel. Despite the lighter overall design intent, the Carbon Cub UL is no performance slouch. In October 2025, pilot John Kotwicki flew a Carbon Cub UL to an altitude of 37,609 feet, breaking a Cub-style aircraft altitude record that had stood since 1951, and in the process also exceeding the FAI's official ultralight category altitude record. It's a reminder that the same power-to-weight thinking that makes these airplanes exceptional on short runways also gives them startling all-around performance. Specifications only tell part of the story. The Carbon Cub's real reputation has been built in the field, quite literally. Over the past decade, a wave of backcountry aviation content creators has documented Carbon Cubs landing on riverbanks, sandbars, mountaintop clearings, and remote farm fields, turning short-field flying into a visible and popular subculture within general aviation. That visibility has fed back into demand. CubCrafters has reported strong order backlogs stretching years into the future, alongside expanding manufacturing capacity to keep pace. Regulatory changes have also opened new doors for the platform. The FAA's Mosaic, commonly known as Modernization of Special Airworthiness Certification rule, which took effect in October 2025, expanded the scope of what qualifies as light sport aircraft, a shift with particularly favorable implications for CubCrafters' lineup of light sport and experimental models going forward. It would be easy to treat the Carbon Cub's short field numbers as a novelty, a party trick for backcountry pilots and YouTube audiences. But the underlying engineering represents a genuinely disciplined approach to a hard problem. Getting an airplane off the ground in 90 feet and stopped again in 155 requires far more than a big engine. It requires a wing that stays flying and controllable at speeds where most airplanes would already have stalled, a structure light enough that the power-to-weight math actually works, and landing gear robust enough to survive the punishment of unimproved surfaces on both ends of every flight. That's the real achievement behind the Carbon Cub. Not any single spectacular number, but the way CubCrafters engineered every major system – engine, airframe, wing, control surfaces, gear, and propeller – around one unifying goal. The next time a small yellow taildragger drops onto a gravel bar and stops in less distance than most cars need to brake from highway speed, that's not a coincidence or a stunt. It's the sum of 40-plus years of a company deciding that runways, as most pilots understand them, are optional.